Hey guys, I'm here with an exclusive Opus VIII spoiler courtesy of myself and Good Games Adelaide, and that card is Luminous Puma, a 5-cost Earth monster with when Luminous Puma enters the field, choose one forward in your break zone, add it to your hand, put Luminous Puma into the break zone, choose one forward or backup in your break zone, add it to your hand. So it's pretty easy to understand. At face value, it seems pretty inefficient. It's basically neg 3 CP, ignoring the card quality, whatever you add back. So that says you basically have to be doing something either degenerate or unusually efficient to make up for the CP loss. But there's, quite a few 2-card combos that this card helps put together really easily, either grabbing like one half of it or both halves at the same time. Here are some examples, like your usual Alcid Onion Knight type stuff, or like something like Hope and Bartholomew, since this can add backups as well. Some other stuff is like Star Sybil is a really high value card if you have Samuel Athena out, and so you can get back Star Sybil and a 6-cost forward with this to get the full value out of that effect. Athena is a good example, a really strong wind 6-cost legend that's coming out next set, and you could use this to get back 2 Barts to make rapid fire a lot more feasible if you're playing a Barts deck, or to get back that Barts while you have the other Barts in your hand. That's a funny thing I thought I'd add. And of course, special abilities in general, like high value special abilities, are a good target for Luminous Puma. Illua is a great example, and there's also stuff like Kryl. Lena I've listed because in Opus 8 we're getting one of the best, probably the best generic neutral Lena target, and it's in the same color as Luminous Puma, and that's Arden. So bringing out an Arden with Lena is like playing him for 4, which basically mitigates the 3 CP loss from Luminous Puma. And then Seymour I've added, at the moment, not really relevant, but if we get a Seymour forward, this can add back both the backup and the forward, and then you would be able to use the special like Cast Raiden or something from top of your deck, which would be pretty funny. Other cards are forward. If your deck relies like solely or like very heavily on one specific forward, some great examples are the Gilgamesh and the Prish from Opus 7, who, because your deck's full of a lot of Gilgameshes and Prishes, but you really want that main copy to be the one that you're using all the time, you want to be able to always have that copy available, and Luminous Puma helps a lot with that. And then the easier example is stuff like Yuri and Chelinka. Decks with those in them, those 2 cards are incredibly premium, so being able to have access to them basically at all times is pretty strong and useful. Even if your opponent kills it, you can just get it back with the Puma, stuff like that, or put the Yuri and Schlicker together so you get the party tag effect, etc. Perhaps the one forward in the game, which actually turns Luminous Puma positive, is Pain, because she's such obscene value herself if you have Yuna and Rico out, that she's negative 2 CP, or she costs negative 2 CP, so she actually gains you 2 CP, which means if you get back 2 Pains with Luminous Puma's effect, like it doesn't have to be at the same time, it can be over, a time period, you will actually end up, if you play both those Pains, you will end up with more CP than you started with, even though Luminous Puma itself was negative CP. So, obviously that means you have to be in 3 colors if you want to be fully reliable with the backup Yuna, but an infinite stream of Pains is nothing to scoff at. All that aside though, Luminous Puma's strength lies in its flexibility, so while it is like a hefty cost to activate it at first, it's straight neg 3 CP no matter what, plus you defer 2 of the CP when you first activate it. From then on, it gives you access to most of your break zone at any time, so this is just an example to demonstrate my point. I'm not specifically saying play this with lightning or anything, but imagine if you are looking at your opponent's Luminous Puma and they have an Allure on field with an Allure in their break zone. Like, it's pretty difficult for you to enter combat, because you'll either lose to the Activate and the Power Decrease from Illua, or you'll die on the Crackback from Illua giving their forwards haste, because they have that available to them. However, imagine they also have like an Alcid, or like one of his buddies in their break zone, and then if you don't swing, they could just grab back the Alcid or the missing half of their combo and then punish you that way instead. So if you're the one with Luminous Puma, your opponent basically has to play around your entire break zone, like at the same time. Even though in the end you're only going to have one of those cards, it'll theoretically be the one that punishes your opponent the hardest, and they can't really avoid that. So that's like the main thing about the card that makes it, potentially worth the CP loss, is the flexibility, and the fact that you get to, manipulate situations really easily with your break zone once it's on the field. All that aside though, everything else, even if that's all like, too unreliable or ambitious or whatever, the one card that stands out to me is Mirror. And this is one of my pet cards, so this makes me really happy. And this card actually fits perfectly into one of my favorite decks at the moment, which is my Water Earth monsters. Mirror basically turns Luminous Puma into parity. Instead of neg 3 CP, it is now as like a 0 CP net gain loss, which means you basically are just trading backup CP or cards in your hand for any forwards or backups in your break zone. And that's at no cost. So not only that, it's still got the flexibility on top of that. So you don't have to sacrifice it right away. You can leave your Mirror active. You can just play Luminous Puma, have your Mirror active, and then if she comes up with another monster, you're using combat, your money monster dies, whatever, you can use her on that. But then, of course, if nothing else happens, you can just use Puma at the end of your main phase 2, and then dull your Mirror that way. Or, if she's already dull, you can still play the Luminous Puma for cheaper, and then wait until Mirror's active before you sack it off. And that's actually specific. Like, the toolbox aspect is not only powerful by itself, but that's specifically useful in monster decks, because they typically have a low forward count, and they often use specific forwards to answer like problems, such as Raubahn. So that's especially relevant for Realm. So it increases the monster count for her enter ability, while still functioning as a forward or two. Plus Realm is just an excellent neutral play anyway, so having her as an option to recur with the Puma, especially if it's efficient because of Mirror, that can never be a bad thing. But this leads me to my favourite combo with this card, Lunafreya. Disclaimer, since we don't have the official English text for Lunafreya, I can't guarantee that she works on monsters being treated as forwards. If she doesn't, none of the following matters, but there's an incredibly low chance of that. It almost certainly does work the way I intend to in this following section, so bear with me. The Lunafreya, if you can't read the text, it's during your opponent's turn, when one of your forwards goes to the break zone, you can sacrifice Lunafreya and then bring the character back out of the break zone. Dull. So, if you turn your Luminous Puma into a forward during your opponent's turn, you can sacrifice it in your opponent's turn, and you can even block with it, like use it as a free blocker if you want, and trigger Lunafreya to immediately revive it. It's even funnier if you have a second Lunafreya already in the break zone, because you could add that one back with your Luminous Puma and then just do it again next turn, and you could do that effectively infinitely if that's what you wanted to do, and just have like an infinite stream of reviving forwards back to your hand. Not to mention you get a possible Mirror trigger on top of that. And the best part is that the category 15 forwards that make Lunafreya cheaper to play are all in Earth, which is the color of Luminous Puma. So, and because you can add things back with it easily, it means you basically always have that reduced cost available. But that's just a really funny, kind of interesting like combo potential that I thought about when I was looking at this card compared to the Opus VIII cards. The last thing I should mention is its category. There are a few cards that scale with the number of category 13 characters you have, namely Sarah and Fang. Sarah in particular, being a body to facilitate Sarah's freeze is always nice, and it's more convenient than Schrodinger because Earth has a better selection of 13 characters than Water. I could mention Uriandra as well. I mean, if you somehow play Uriandra as your 5th Scion and haven't already clearly won, then it's obviously an insane target for that. But that's so ambitious that probably not relevant. That being said, it is still okay in Scions regardless, because they sometimes run out of Yeeters and they play Allure. Anyway, if you take nothing else away, basically it's a Mirror combo card. Play it in a deck with Mirror, and that is where it will be strongest for sure. Otherwise, it's just a nice, kind of interesting, flexible sort of card that adds you a lot of options. Anyway, cheers for watching, guys. I hope that's an interesting spoiler for you. As usual, thanks to all my Patreon supporters, even though this video won't be gated because it's a spoiler. I do always appreciate the support from these people, and everyone else who watches as well. Cheers for watching, guys. Have a good one.